Tucker Carlson just cannot stop lying about Israel. In his interview with Piers Morgan, Tucker claimed that you cannot criticize Israel.
You cannot criticize Israel, as you know.
While he himself is one of the biggest podcasters in the world and spends an impressive amount of time criticizing Israel. Roughly half of his content is somehow aimed at Israel, Jews, or Netanyahu. The lack of self-awareness is spectacular. So let's watch his video and talk about what real Christian persecution in the Middle East actually looks like, because the first lie already appears in the opening line.
How are Christians in the Holy Land doing? Are they thriving or are they suffering? And the truth has become pretty obvious over the past couple of years, which is in Israel, they are not thriving. Their numbers are not growing, they are shrinking, and there's a huge debate about why, but the bottom line is there are fewer Christians now, far fewer, in absolute numbers and particularly as percentage of population than there were when the state was founded in 1948.
Now let's talk about numbers. Notice something important. Tucker doesn't provide any, not a single one, because the moment you look at the data, his entire argument collapses. In 1948, there were about 35,000 Christians living in Israel. Today, there are around 190,000. That's a five-fold increase. There is not a single Muslim country in the Middle East where the Christian population has grown like this. Not one. In Lebanon, once a Christian majority country with around 60% Christians, the number dropped to roughly 30%. In Syria, the Christian population collapsed. In Iraq, where millions of Christians lived 70 years ago, today there may be around 200,000 left. But sure, tell us more about how Israel is the problem. Next slide.
And in Jerusalem, if you follow this at all on the internet, you see video clip after video clip of Christian clergy being spit at by religious extremists, not Muslim religious extremists, but Jewish religious extremists. And that's something most Americans didn't know happened, didn't think could happen, particularly since the United States, the most important Christian country in the world, is funding this.
Let's talk about the spitting. And here, to be fair, Tucker is not completely lying. There are about 3 streets in Jerusalem where there have been incidents of Orthodox Jews spitting or pretending to spit at Christian nuns. It's disgusting. I condemn it completely. It goes against everything I believe in. But let's apply some basic proportion. If the worst examples you can open your video with, the most shocking evidence you have, are a handful of spitting incidents, then the situation probably isn't the nightmare you are trying to sell. Let's ask a few very simple questions. How many Christians have been murdered by Orthodox Jews in Israel? 0. How many churches have Orthodox Jews blown up in Israel? 0. Meanwhile, in Egypt, Syria, and especially Iraq, churches have been bombed and Christians murdered in large numbers. But about that, silence. Tucker wouldn't touch it. He also won't mention the ongoing genocide of Christians in Nigeria or Sudan. Funny how that works. And then, of course, he throws in a line about America funding this. No, America is not funding extremist Jews who spit at Christians. Israel receives US aid, and about 80% of it goes straight back into the American economy through the purchase of American weapons. By the way, the US gives Egypt and Jordan more money combined than it gives Israel, and much of this is civilian aid that never returns to the American economy. But Tucker will never tell you that part. Now, look at how he introduces one of his guests.
And the second person we're going to speak to is a businessman who runs a bank here in Jordan from a very prominent Christian family. And if you're an American, you may be surprised to learn that in Jordan, a country that's probably 97% Muslim, Christians who've been here for, of course, 2,000 years are disproportionately represented at the higher end of the economy, which is to say there's a large number of Christian families who are hugely successful in Jordan.
So what's the message here? Israel persecutes Christians, but Jordan, a Muslim country, somehow allows Christians to thrive and succeed. Interesting framing. Let's see if this survives 5 minutes of scrutiny. We will start with the first speaker, the Anglican Archbishop of Jerusalem.
But to see the declining numbers of Christians over the decades, and especially since like 48 and 67.
I love this argument. Before the State of Israel existed, Christians supposedly lived in paradise. Everything was wonderful under Islamic rule, until the Jews showed up and ruined it. There is just one tiny detail the Archbishop forgot to mention. Actually, three. One generation before Israel was established under Islamic rule, there were three genocides against Christians: the Armenian genocide, the Assyrian genocide, and the Greek genocide. You probably never heard about them. That's not an accident. You can't blame Jews for those, so they don't fit the narrative. Don't believe me? Seriously, check every word. As for 1948, the Arab leadership rejected any compromise, rejected a Jewish state under any conditions, and chose war. Fighting broke out in cities and on roads. Some Arab Christians, generally wealthier and more mobile, left. Framing 1948 as an anti-Christian event is not history, it's blood libel. So what is his strongest example of Christian persecution in Israel? Let's listen.
We have, let me give you an example where, like the Holy Sepulchre, for different reasons, we, for a long time, during Holy Saturday, which is the Holy Fire, one of the most sacred days in the Christian calendar.
Yes.
Of course, this is the night before Easter.
Yes.
The restrictions that the police there enforce on pilgrims is unprecedented. Something that, we always please, let the pilgrims come and enjoy.
Now this is happening?
And this is happening every year now, yes, of course. Last year.
So just to be clear, the Israeli government is preventing Christians from celebrating Easter in Jerusalem?
Yes, they are preventing Christians and pilgrims from celebrating Easter, and the claim is, according to the police there, for safety reasons.
So this is it. The worst persecution of Christians in Israel is crowd control restrictions at one of the most dangerous religious ceremonies on earth. And to his credit, the Archbishop accidentally tells the truth. Israel restricts the numbers for safety reasons. Let me explain. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre has one entrance. On a regular day, it's already hard to breathe inside. During the Holy Fire ceremony on Easter, hundreds of people packed in, holding lit candles while fire is passed around. If something goes wrong, hundreds of Christians could die from fire and suffocation. Israel loses either way. Limit attendance, Israel persecutes Christians. Don't limit it, and if people die, Israel is blamed anyway. In 2021, at a Jewish pilgrimage site in Meron, 45 Jews were crushed to death because safety rules failed. So yes, at dangerous mass events, there are rules. This is not persecution. This is basic responsibility. Now comes a real blood libel.
On two incidents, there have been two big explosions. The first one happened only 2 weeks after or even less than 2 weeks from the beginning, on the 17th of October 2003, where a huge rocket fell, and it became a really controversy. Israel accused Islamic Jihad for a misrocketed missile. In Gaza, they said no, it was Israeli rocket that came in, and there were two narratives at that time. Anyway, but this is the kind of thing that
We know the answer now?
No, I don't know the answer. People ask me, and I said, do I look like a soldier to you to tell you what happened there?
This refers to the explosion at the El Hali Arab Hospital. At first, the media rushed to blame Israel. Then the evidence came in. It was a misfired Islamic Jihad rocket. I'm not a soldier, he says. I don't know what really happened. But I will start by blaming Israel. And then I will say, I don't know what happened. You know exactly what happened. You know it was an Islamic Jihad rocket. But you don't say it because you don't want to end up like Rami Ayad. Who is Rami Ayad, you ask? A Christian in Gaza who owned a shop selling Christian religious books. His shop was burned down multiple times. He received threats from Islamic groups, and eventually he was murdered. But the Archbishop won't mention that. Just like he won't mention the takeover of the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem in 2002, when Muslim terrorists took 50 priests and believers hostages inside the church. He doesn't say a word about that. Just imagine what would happen if a Jewish extremist entered an important church with a gun. The world would talk about that for generations. But when armed Islamists do that, Tucker and the Archbishop don't even mention it. Now, let's jump to the second guest.
Even I was amazed to discover how many prominent, like truly prominent Christian families there are in Jordan. A lot, and you're from one of the most prominent. What's it like to be a Christian in an overwhelmingly Muslim country here?
So here is the uncomfortable truth. Wherever Christians are a minority in Muslim societies, they tend to outperform. More educated, more money, more successful. This is true in Haifa, Nazareth, Ramallah, and Amman. Tucker attacks Israel and then presents Jordan as proof that Muslims treat Christians better. But the reality is simpler. Christians tend to succeed wherever they are: Jordan, Israel, Iraq, and Syria, until their communities are destroyed by Islamists. I could keep going, but this video needs to go up fast. Tucker's anti-Israel content is gaining tens of thousands of viewers per hour. So I'm asking you for a favor. Take the link of this video and post it under Tucker's. Let at least some of his audience see the facts. Like always, I will leave the link below. Thank you to everyone supporting me. My next video will be about a topic Tucker will never touch: how Islam Islamized Jesus. So please subscribe. See you soon. Yalla bye.